What's up, everybody? My name is Sid, and I've teamed up with the big homie Reg to bring y'all something new, something we like to call Beyond the Scoreboard. Y'all be sure to review, rate, and subscribe. Let's get to it.
Making these hits, hey, making these flips.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, where every 25-point lead is safe. As always, I'm Sid. What's going on, Reg?
Who that? Doing good, man. We got to win. Still alive in these playoffs, man.
Winning games that we supposed to be winning finally.
Sure feels
Uh,
good.
so like you say, man, we hosted our third straight home game, welcomed in the New York Giants, came out of there with a 24-6 victory. Defense looked great. Once again, the Giants isn't a team that we went in saying, oh, we should be fearing this team at all. We know what their problems are. I mean, depending on who you ask, what their problems are at quarterback, we know what that offensive line situation is. We know the lack of receiving, depth that they have over there. Even though, of course, Darren Waller got healthy just in time to come down to New Orleans and play.
Of course.
But we had Derek Carr go out there, throw for 218, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Was only sacked one time. Good day on the ground. Williams had 8 for 24. Didn't use Taysom Hill too much. Kamara added another 5 catches for 44 yards. As always, he's doing it all for us out there. And then besides that, man, I want to say Derek Carr ended up hitting 10 to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 different receivers throughout the day. He spread the football around a good bit, but really, man, the main thing of this game was defense, man. We ended up with, I think, 6, maybe 7 sacks.
hmm
Um, I know Demario Davis had one, passing yard had 3. Um,
Field day
Brian
out
Brzee
there.
had 2, and
I
Carl
think Carl
Granderson
Granderson
added
got
another
another.
one. So I mean, defensively we did what we were supposed to do. Offensively, man, they set a stat during the game that I wasn't even aware of. I think they said during the last 3 games, we at the time I don't remember exactly what we were in the game, but we were like 80 to 90% efficiency in the red zone over the past 3 games.
Yeah, that shocked
Which
me.
once again is
I didn't
one
hear
of the
that one.
things, one of the biggest complaints we've had all season. So once again, if we're knocking them for it, got to give them credit for fixing it
Absolutely.
and adjusting it as the season goes on. Um, Blake Groupie, he only had 1 field goal, had 3 extra points, made them all. Once again, the offense didn't look explosive and extravagant and nothing crazy, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's been efficient. It's
Yep.
been they've been executing finally. Maybe
hmm
it wasn't what the plan was. It was just that it wasn't being executed, and now it's being executed. It looks a little better. Once again, we're beating the teams that we're supposed to beat. That Detroit game, that wasn't one we were necessarily supposed to win. We ended up being in it, even after putting ourselves in the hole. We beat the Giants this week. We beat what it was Carolina last week. Games that we're supposed to win. What did you take from this game, if anything, honestly?
One thing you didn't give a shout out to was Ronald Curry and Pete Carmichael, man, for play calling. I felt like play calling was fantastic. We got a chance to see what Derek Carr can look like when he's not asked to improvise on plays. Whenever we run something, it's called. Everyone does their part. Someone comes open. Derek Carr hit that person in stride. I mean, he threw a strike in the end zone. I forgot who caught it. Was it who wound up catching that ball?
Touchdown
his
pass?
his first his first touchdown pass when he squeezed it in the
Um,
middle. Was
Keith
it Clark?
Kirkwood. It was
Keith
Keith Kirkwood.
Kirkwood. Keith Kirkwood, yeah. He held on to it, but that was a strike, man. And that window wasn't huge, but it was open, and you expect NFL quarterbacks to make that throw. And he made it look easy. When they came out and they ran that double post, they faked the corner and ran the double post for both receivers.
Yeah.
Another beautiful thrown ball. I mean, Derek Carr was just on fire, man. Defense definitely set the tone, and offense followed through with it. And I just think we got a chance to see what we can look like when we're executing. Things are not going to always go as planned and as we see it sought prior to the game. But when we are clicking on all cylinders, we can put something together, and we saw it this weekend.
And again, man, using the talent that we acquired throughout the offseason for the purpose that we got them. Like it was
Right.
strange to not see Jimmy Graham and Jamal
Hmm.
Williams and these guys like this get heavy usage in the red zone earlier in the season when that's the only reason we brought them here, you know.
Right.
So being able to get those guys involved anytime Jimmy Graham gets targeted, it seems like something good is happening. So more of that. Foster Moreau is looking better. Jawan Johnson had a decent game after
He
struggling
did.
last week.
He did.
Um, I want to believe that we're getting uh, that we're getting healthy and we're getting into a good place at the right time, going into what could be the playoffs for us. But man, we got 3 more games to look forward to. And all of them are winnable. There's no game you look at and be like, oh, this one we should be worried about. So man, it looks like we're in a good spot right now. Carolina did us a favor by handling Atlanta over the weekend in
Crazy
the
boy.
fashion that they did, winning that 7-6. Just looking around the league this weekend and the other games that took place outside of ours. Of course, there was a lot of hype going into Cowboys versus Bills up in Buffalo. I know I took Buffalo to win. I think you took the Cowboys, or did
I
you take
did.
Buffalo to win? You
I
took the
took the
Cowboys
Cowboys.
to win. And the Cowboys did what the Cowboys are capable of doing. This is why a lot of NFL fans in general, but Cowboy fans as well, they try not to get their hopes too high because they can always end up laying the egg like they did on Sunday. A lot of people, I mean, going into Sunday, a lot of people felt like the Cowboys were the second best bet in the NFL behind San Francisco. And then they go out and do this against Buffalo. And that might not change anything for some people. Some people it will. But what did you think about that game and that performance from both ends, from the Cowboys end and from Buffalo, who's right back into being into the playoff conversation and being the team that nobody really wants to face in the
Right.
playoffs?
When the game first started, it definitely had a feel like Buffalo took the field with that sense of urgency, like this is a game we must have.
Yeah,
And it's not that I don't think it was effort on the Cowboys front. I just think they got outplayed. Like
yeah,
every day is just not your day. We know what that offense is capable of, and they were nowhere near what they've been, the standard they've been holding themselves to all year. And we do know Buffalo over the course of, you can go back the last what 3 4 years. Buffalo has had one of the best defenses in all of
yeah.
football, and they didn't stand to that test this all season long. But they found their fountain of youth this past weekend, and it all started with containing the run game. I know we both, I believe, agreed that the Cowboys stood the better chance of dominating the game on the ground. But it was just the opposite. Buffalo came in and was able to run the ball very effectively with James Cook, and they never turned back. That was a game that they really didn't even ask Josh Allen to take over and see them
No.
through. I really thought it was going to come down to some of those odd guys like your Dalton Kincaids and your James Cooks, but more in the passing game, not necessarily on the ground. But Buffalo defense definitely set the tone early, and the offense followed suit, and they got the W.
Man, if I would have told you going into this game that neither quarterback was going to throw for 150 yards, you would have been like, "Oh man, that's an ugly game." You would have been like, "There's no way that anybody got to 30 points in this game."
Right. Hmm.
Dak has been amazing all season. I'm not gonna take anything from him. He's been if you I'd go Brock Purdy and then I'd go Dak Prescott when it comes to quarterback play this year for sure. So for him to come out and have 21 to 34 for 130 yards,
Hmm.
that's huge. And I've been saying it for the past few weeks. My concern about the Cowboys has turned from, well, will Dak turn the football over? If Dak turn the football over, that's gonna kill him. It's turned from that to, man, they got to get their running game going. If they can't get their run game going, then they're not gonna be able to go nowhere. It wasn't awful, but 11 rushes is all. I mean, they got behind, early, so you got to throw the
You can't
football.
run
But
right. Hmm.
11 rushes for 52 yards. I mean, that's a good pace. But once again, if you starting out behind, then you got to get away from that. But for Dak to have put up 34 passes and only have 134 yards, no one thought we'd be seeing that this season from him
Right.
the way that he's been playing.
I
And
agree.
then, man, Buffalo, James Cook had over 200 scrimmage yards. I want to say
Yeah,
he
he
had
was
over
toting
100
that
in the
thing.
first quarter. Yeah,
Yeah, he
between
was toting that thing, bro.
and I want to say he scored through the air. Yeah, he had a receiver touchdown and a rushing touchdown. James Cook, when he got drafted, we all thought, oh,
Hmm.
he quickly jumps to the top of their depth chart. He's their best running back. He's going to be their guy going forward. And over the past 2 years, he's had touches taken away from him from Latavius Murray, from what it was, Devin Singletary last year. Like all of these different guys, and he finally had what I'm hoping is a breakout game for him to where consistently going forward, he can be their guy. Because me and you talk about Buffalo all the time and what they need to change in order to stop being, one round short of the Super Bowl and to actually get there. Well, it comes down to one getting better receiving targets, and it comes down to getting, better in their run game. And
Yep.
James Cook, have the chance to keep them from going, out into free agency or the trade market in the offseason and trying to find another running back to add to that room. But yeah, that was a brilliant. It was a great game from Buffalo. Once again, man, they're desperate. Like and it was the same. I took them last week. The same reason I took them the week before against Kansas City. They need it. It's an
Right.
absolutely we have to win this. We can't lose. And they played with that mentality for 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah. I remember going back to James Cook draft, we were kind of looking at draft positions and team needs. And I
Hmm.
was like, man, if James Cook is what he's supposed to be, it would make all the sense in the world for Buffalo to take him. But I don't see them taking a running back this high. And I said, Sid, is he better than the running backs currently on their depth chart? If James Cook is drafted, he's instantly the best
One
running back
hundred
in their
percent.
room.
Yeah. And at that
Yeah.
time, it was Devin Singletary and I always forget the other guy that was
Other
over
dude
there
name,
with
yeah,
him.
he's a
Yeah,
yeah, he,
but it was those who got it. It's like, yeah, you get James Cook, he shoots to the top of that. And
right.
once again, it's taking him a minute, but it seems like he's getting there for sure. Another good game or another big game from this past weekend was Eagles Seahawks. That was a really it ended up being a really good one. Seahawks kept it close to the close to the vest of who they were going to start at quarterback going into Monday night. Jalen Hurts was coming off. Well, he got sick over the weekend. Ended up playing anyway. And man, the Seahawks end up stealing one from Philadelphia, a team that can't afford to be losing games right now.
That's true.
Honestly,
That's true.
they stole one from them 20-17 with Drew Lock at quarterback. This game for me is all about what's wrong with Philadelphia more so than the good of Seattle. We know what Seattle is. Seattle is they were projected to be a playoff team by many. We know they're right there, middle of the road,
Hmm. Yep.
basically. But Philadelphia is supposed to be at the top, and over these past few
They do.
weeks, that we're seeing where their weak points are. We're seeing their flaws, and they seem to be pretty big flaws at a
Well,
time of the season where they can't be dropping games.
hmm well, if you remember the beginning of the year, they was finding ways to win these close games. I mean, over and over and over,
Hmm.
somebody would have them dead out, flat out beat. I remember Washington was up like 21 or something
Yep.
week 2 or 3. They were able to muster the storm, come back, not only get back in the game, but beat Washington. But now you're seeing that offense is just not capable of putting up points after points in order to win these close games. The defense, they're not as ferocious as they was last year. They don't have the pass
Yeah.
rush. It was flat out you can't run against Philly last year, and now we've seen multiple teams have success
Even
on the
yeah,
ground
even
against them.
earlier this year, it was tough to run
Right,
against them. That's
right.
changed. Yep.
Yep. If a team was only going to put up 20 points, you were losing to the Eagles last year
Yeah.
and the beginning of this year. All of those things have changed. I did have some good takeaways from Seattle. For one, it was good to see Kenny Walker run the ball. I
Oh,
didn't
for
know what
sure.
the heck, I didn't know what the hell happened to Kenny Walker this year, but it
Yeah.
definitely wasn't the Kenny Walker we saw last year as a rookie. But it was great to see him have success on the ground. I love the fact that they spread it the wealth with their receivers. Seattle is deep. They got 3 receivers that can play. I wasn't
Yeah.
sold on Jackson Smith in Digable, but he's proven that he can play in this league. It's safe to say that they can definitely move on from Tyler Lockett now. Like they have their true number 2, and I like the fact that the kid is huge, man. It's a 6'3", 6'4" target out there that you're throwing the rock to. And Leonard Williams, when he first got there, his first 2 games, he really didn't make no impact for Seattle, and that was by far his best game as a
Yeah.
Seahawk. So he's put together 2 good weeks of football in the middle, something that Seattle has missed for a very long time. So yeah, Seattle they're getting right at the right point, and that's without Geno Smith.
Yeah. And and I think I think the biggest difference, honestly, is once again, like you said, they were winning a lot of games that they were winning a lot of games at the end. Throughout this year, games
Mm-hmm.
that they had to come back and win, or games that they were ending up winning by one possession at the end. And the difference now is, to me, they're turning the football over. Jalen Hurts threw 2 picks on Monday. They weren't doing that earlier in the year, which allowed them to stay into those games that they were in. Because yeah, we might be putting it off, switching field position and things like that, but we are turning the ball over and giving our opponents good field position. And the past 3 weeks, for sure, like it's been multiple turnovers every game, whether it's fumbles, interceptions, and that's really what's been killing them, honestly. And that's something that they got to clean up. I mean, they've already clinched their playoff spot, but once again, now they're not even in the division lead anymore. Cowboys
Right.
are back on top
Mm-hmm.
of their division, so they definitely got some things to figure out. Once again, we still got 3 weeks left in this season, so there's time to do so. But they have to have some urgency about them.
I agree. I'm not pressing the panic button on the Eagles because I feel like a lot of their issues are self-centered issues. I went
Mm-hmm.
back and kind of took a look at that game. It was a lot of times that they were forced to punt uh, due to um, due to Jalen Hurts flat out just missing a read. He'll have
Yeah,
someone running wide open underneath on the drag that potentially could have picked up the first down. A couple times definitely would have picked up the first down. But
yeah,
for whatever reason, he chose to go other places with the football. The interception, that was so unneeded. Like, I don't even know why he threw that deep ball that wound up being picked off. But it's
yeah,
things like that that seem with the naked eye seems to be easy to fix moving forward for a team as good as Philadelphia.
yeah. And I saw them throw up the stats on Monday. What was the difference between Jalen Hurts this year and last year? It was nothing but the turnovers.
Turnovers, 100%.
Yeah. Um. All right, so let's look at this playoff picture, man. We just talked about Philly. They no longer lead their division. Cowboys are now in the driver's seat of that, but they have the same record at 10-4.
Okay.
Seattle is right outside of the playoffs right now, 7-7. They the AC right now. We followed them up with the 9th seed at 7-7 as well. So right now we're looking at San Francisco Cowboys, Detroit, and Tampa Bay as the division leaders. Well, I mean, San Francisco has won the division. That's over with there.
Hmm.
Cowboys, Lions, Tampa Bay, those divisions are still technically up for grabs. You got the Vikings and the Rams as the wild cards right now, and then, like I say, outside looking in, Seattle and the Saints, 6-9, all 7-7 records. Most of these teams playing each other going forward. I know we got the Rams tomorrow night.
Hmm.
Um, the Vikings. I know the Vikings play Detroit at least one more time for sure. Um, and I'm not positive. I'm gonna have to look, but I think the Rams and the Seahawks may play each other again too. We got some separation this weekend. The Falcons ended up losing the game they shouldn't have lost. Tampa Bay ended up beating Green Bay and knocking them down to 6-8 as well. Um, so last week we got on here and we talked about, I think, 6 through 11 having all the same record, or really close to it. Now we've cut that down to 9. I mean, after another week of football, the Vikings had an impressive win over Cincinnati. Well,
Hmm.
no, yeah, they beat Cincinnati, right,
Hmm.
on last Saturday, if I want to say. And the Rams had an ugly win against Arizona, where they had to fight to hold on to that one. And then Seattle upset Philadelphia. We took care of the Giants.
Hmm.
Another weekend. How do you see this one? How do you see this one closing out with these last 2 spots? Or last
Oh,
three
that's
spots rather, because once again, Tampa Bay is 7-7 as well. So
hmm
you got 3 spots
so
up for grab.
yeah. So really, we still a toss up in our division, definitely.
Yeah,
The Rams on the outside looking in. I'm not sure what's their struggle. What's their schedule strength? I know
schedule.
they have us. I think, like you said, they still have Seattle, and they may even have another division game there as well. But
Yeah, they might.
they definitely can win 2 out of the last 3. That's not unheard of for them. But right now, the teams that we have that own the that own the wild card spots in the NFC, I definitely see all of those teams getting in. Once again, you
Vikings,
had
Rams, and Tampa Bay winning
Vikings,
the division.
Rams. I would have to switch us with Tampa Bay simply because I feel like offensively we have the capability of being better than them. Defense is about what and what when both units are playing up to standard. If you want to give us the edge, that's cool. But I
Yeah.
feel like Tampa has the ability to get to the quarterback a little bit better than us at this point. Um, but I definitely think with Jordan Jefferson coming back, I'm sorry,
Justin
Justin
Jefferson.
Jefferson coming back. You already know what you got in Anderson. They've been able to manage a decent run game. Long as turnovers don't continue to kill them, the Vikings should be decent getting in. And I do think that we actually win. I still think we win the division over Tampa, so I don't have Tampa getting
Okay, so the Rams last three. They got us tomorrow night, then they got the Giants in San Francisco.
in. Oh,
I'm about to look at the Vikings as well. I know for sure that the Vikings end up playing Detroit again.
yeah,
I think they played Detroit twice actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got Detroit this weekend, um, followed by the Packers, and then they have Detroit again. So three
yes.
straight division games for them.
For who the Vikings?
Yeah,
That's a tough
they played
schedule.
Detroit twice and Green Bay in between.
Okay,
What was the other team? Tampa. Well, we got the Rams this
divisions.
week, and then
Hmm.
we play Tampa
Tampa
Bay and
and
then
then
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Hmm.
Tampa Bay has Jacksonville this weekend. Then they play us. Then they got Carolina.
Hmm.
So and I want to check out Seattle as well. I did want to know how they finished up. They have the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals.
Yeah, they can go on a run right there. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely I got Seattle and the Rams making it.
Seattle and the
So
Rams,
that
and us
yep. So
winning our
that'll be three.
division.
Yep, that'll be three teams from that division getting in.
I think I'm with you. Honestly, I don't have faith in Minnesota. Um, because of the quarterback. We thought Josh Dobbs was going to be the answer. He fell
Hmm.
back down to earth quickly. Nick Mullins is a serviceable quarterback. He's not a
Hmm.
bad one. He's definitely serviceable. And their defense has been pretty good. Their run game is getting better. It kind of has no choice with who they have at quarterback and the switching that they've been doing. But I don't really have having to play Detroit twice. Detroit is trying to, for one, they're trying to win a division. For two, they trying to make
Exactly.
sure that they can host a couple playoff
Exactly.
games. And they sitting
Exactly.
at 10-4 along with the Cowboys. They can move up from 3-2.
Absolutely.
That's they're definitely playing for something still. To have to play them twice and play Green Bay, who if nothing else, I mean Green Bay is still right outside looking in
Oh
at six
yeah.
and eight.
Yeah.
But also, if nothing else, they're looking to play spoiler at this point.
Yep.
I'm loving what I'm seeing out of them, honestly. I think they really got something in
They play
Jordan
hard.
Love. I like the young receivers. Aaron Jones came back looking good last week.
Hmm.
They definitely, and we know what their defense is. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Seattle and the Rams both make it. I think yeah, like you said, I think Seattle probably goes 3-0 these next three games. Um, yeah, I know they got Gino back. I know Gino will be starting this weekend. The Rams, the Rams is tough. You know what? I lied. I got to take the Rams out. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay and us. I'm gonna say we get two teams in. I'm gonna say we win the division. Tampa Bay gets the wild card, and Seattle gets a wild card spot. The
Okay.
Rams having to play us tomorrow. If they lose to us and then turn around and play San Francisco, the final game of the season, and San Francisco actually plays, who knows? They might sit their starters and say, "Look, we
Right.
have nothing to play for. We rested for 2 weeks."
Which I
But if
think it
that's
would be the
not the
case.
case, yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, I got the Rams. If not, if San Francisco wants to keep the Rams out of the playoffs and just want to, not have 2 weeks off, because that can build up some rust on their players. They want to do,
Right.
look, let's play a little this week and then take our next week off. If that happens, I think San Francisco wins that game, and that's 2 losses in 3 weeks for the Rams. When I don't think any other team loses twice. That's in this race right here. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. We win a division. Seattle and Tampa Bay both make the playoffs as well, though.
Okay, I got you.
And then AFC, man, that the weekend was crazy for the AFC as well. Right now you got Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City, Jacksonville. They all leading their division.
Okay.
Um, Jacksonville and Houston still have the same record. And then you got Cincinnati and the Colts in the wild card spots. Oh, and the Browns.
Damn.
The
I was just about to
Browns,
say how the
yeah, the
All right, go
Browns, the
ahead.
Bengals, and the Colts. The Browns are 9-5, Bengals and Colts are 8-6. And then outside looking in, you got Houston at 8-6, you got Buffalo at 8-6, you got Pittsburgh at 7-7, and you got Denver at 7-7.
Damn, that's tough. I'm gonna have to excuse. I'm gonna have to excuse the Texans out simply because of CJ Stroud
They
missing
just
last
try
week, and he's
and
gonna
gonna
miss
miss
this
this week.
week.
Yep,
And you got Tank Dell out. So I just think
that's too
that's
much
a
to
lot.
overcome for
Yeah,
them. Yeah,
that's a lot. Um, man, but they already got a game lead on Buffalo. What the Texans schedule is from here on out?
they have the same record as Buffalo though. Let me see. They got they got Cleveland this weekend, followed by Tennessee and the Colts. Two division
Okay,
games.
okay. And who Buffalo got from here on out?
Buffalo. They got the Chargers this weekend, and then they have New England and Miami.
So Buffalo's in. Got Buffalo. Got Buffalo in. Um, and Cleveland is in as of
You
right
got
now, right?
Cleveland in. Yeah, they're the fifth seed
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Cleveland, Buffalo, I got those in, and it's out of the Colts or the Texans.
Colts, Texans, Bengals. Bengals are still 8-6 as well. And don't forget about the Steelers and the Broncos, man. They 7-7. They right there. They trying to climb into that thing.
I can't take them serious. I'm gonna have to go with the Texans because I feel like even if the Texans do lose this week without CJ Stroud, no matter who they play, I don't think they got nothing too crazy left. They probably still could win their two remaining games after that point. The Colts don't score enough points for me. Gardner Minshew is kind of up and down. Um, I think he probably averages like less than two touchdowns or something like that at this point. His completion percentage hasn't been great. Um,
So their remaining schedule is Atlanta, the Raiders, and the Texans for the
who is
Colts.
that? The Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all winnable games. But knowing the Colts, they'll probably find a way to make those tough, man. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with what I got. Houston, Cleveland, Houston, and what was the other team I called out?
Cleveland, Houston, and Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about the Bengals. I can't go with the Bengals. Bengals still got the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Browns. That's their remaining schedule. With a
I like how
backup
you. I
quarterback.
like
I
how
like
you.
Jake
I like
Browning.
how you said it and just moved on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Because I like Jake Browning, but we know what Pittsburgh is defensively.
yeah.
Even if they win that game, they got to play Kansas City and then turn around and play who did I say, Cleveland, who
Hmm.
has one of the best defenses in the league and look like a completely different offense with Joe Flacco, which is a crazy statement to be making in 2023. Um, I'm with you. I do like Buffalo. I think Cleveland. I think Cleveland is it. Like I say, the way that they
Hmm.
playing right now with Joe Flacco and that defense, I think
Yep.
that they're in. Um, I think Buffalo's in. So it comes down to one spot for me, and I'm going to roll with the Colts.
The Colts.
Yeah, I think that they win these next two games, and then it comes down to them and Houston, in the last week of the season.
Hmm.
I went into the season thinking Gardner Minshew should have been a starting quarterback from jump.
Okay. Hmm.
Anthony Richardson showed that that wasn't quite true. That Anthony Richardson did have something to offer right out the gates,
Hmm.
and he looked good up until he got hurt. But Gardner Minshew being able to come in, they didn't lose anything with this offense. And once they got Jonathan Taylor back, along with what Zach Moss was already giving them, uh, that run game has been phenomenal. Even last week we saw Zach Moss go down, no Jonathan Taylor. They said, "Cool, who's our next two guys?"
Mm-hmm.
and they ran the football like crazy. Um, so I think offensively they have enough. And defensively they bend don't break. Like they're not giving
Yeah.
up too much with that defense. So as long as Gardner Minshew isn't turning the football over, I know Jonathan Taylor's supposed to be back this week, so that means more running the football, which they have a good online. They can move the line of scrimmage. They can run the football. I think I'm gonna lean on that. Getting them to stay in that seventh spot throughout these last 3 weeks.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think the only difference is for me with Gardner Minshew. If you told me he was starting quarterback for the Colts besides Anthony Richardson, I say, oh, okay, cool. You could probably pencil him in for like 265, 270 a game, probably 2.5 touchdowns. That's just not been the case for Gardner Minshew this season. Like you said, he's been plagued with turnovers. That's been the main concern, and they haven't had a reason to push the ball down the field due to their wide receiver group. Like outside of Michael Pittman, there's really not a lot there. So that the offensive scoring ability kind of concerns me for the Colts. I do think if they had Anthony Richardson, it would be a little bit more explosive. Once again, you're not getting a lot from Gardner Minshew in the air anyway. So I feel like whatever he's doing, Anthony Richardson would be able to make up for that. Plus, he's going to give you more on the ground with his legs.
I feel like Minshew is giving more than what you giving him credit for
You
through
think
the
so?
air. Yeah, he has a very strong connection with Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman has been phenomenal this season with Gardner Minshew, and Josh Downs has had a pretty good season too.
Yeah, Josh Downs has definitely had a
Um,
decent season.
I think Gardner Minshew has done enough with that offense. I don't think through the air you get anything more with Anthony Richardson, but for sure on the ground you would.
Hmm.
Like that's not debatable.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
I think whatever I haven't looked at Gardner Minshew's numbers, but I
yeah,
feel like whatever he's given you this year, I feel like if Anthony Richardson was healthy, he could have gave you the exact same thing, if not more. And I'm just speaking about in the air.
yeah. I think whatever turnover the Minshew have given you would have got more with Anthony Richardson, for sure. We saw while he was in there that it was I want to run first, and then we'll figure out the rest. Um, but yeah, Minshew. I mean, he's giving you what? Dang, they don't want to give me his average. But he's thrown for 2,800 this year, 14 touchdowns. But once again, it's the 8 interceptions that's the problem.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been decent this year. 91 rating. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so after the debacle that was Thursday night football last week with the Chargers and the Raiders, Brandon Staley lost a job that he should have lost a year ago. So now you have the
That
Chargers
was horrible.
joining. Who are they joining now? The Raiders have already fired their coach. Carolina has already fired their coach. That's it so
Interesting.
far.
Hmm.
Those two. And Arthur Smith seems like he's getting close. I saw their owner come out today saying, "Look, we're in full support of Arthur Smith for the next 3 weeks, and then we'll figure it
That
out."
man said the next 3 weeks.
And then we'll figure it out after that. After that, which is, I mean, that plus the switching between Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ritter.
Hmm.
To me, that kind of signals that he feels his seat is hot. He knows he has
Absolutely.
to actually win some games down the stretch in order to keep it. But I expect that job to come open as well. Um, so let's just look at those four jobs. Out of those four jobs, what's the best one right now?
So
When
what
you
you got?
look at
You got Atlanta. You have Carolina,
Vegas, Carolina, and
the
now the
Raiders.
Chargers.
Now the Chargers. I mean, for one, I definitely would say the Chargers because they have talent on both sides of the ball. Um, I love what they have in the ends with the defensive ends. Linebacker play is not horrible. Secondary definitely can improve, but you still have a, if you want to call them a stud there. Definitely one of the best safeties in football. And then when you get on the
Yeah,
offensive side of the ball, it seems to be so much talent. It's
yeah,
hard to keep up with. So I definitely would say the Chargers. The only concern is you in a division with the Chiefs. I'm not sure how you feel about that or whatnot. But the Chiefs are not even scary this year.
yeah. I was about to
So
say after this year,
at
you feel
this,
better about
yeah. So
that.
at this point, I would definitely have to say the Chargers. But once again, if you get that charge, I always look at expectations. If you get that Chargers job, you expect it to win the next year.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there's no
100%.
questions asked about it. However, a job that's very interesting to me is the Atlanta Falcons job because that's a defense that has made a huge improvement from last season to this season. We know they can run the football. They seem to have weapons at
Yeah,
receiver and tight end. It's just they can't put it all together. This is a deep quarterback draft. Listening to all the experts, 5 to 6 QBs going in the first round. If you can get your hands on one of those quarterbacks and you feel he's better than Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ritter right now, and he gives you a better chance of winning, that's a team that I look at and I'm saying that's a quarterback away from being a division leader at least. So I think Atlanta is the most interesting job out of them all. However, I
yeah.
think the Chargers is the more win now. We're built to win now team
The
out of them
Chargers
all.
is definitely the best job. The Chargers is the job
Hmm.
that any veteran head coach, or veteran, OC, whoever's next in line, like
Hmm.
that's going to be the job that a coach looks at and says, "Oh, I can be successful there. I'll go there and I'll be there 5+ years."
Hmm.
Once again, it's a job Sean Payton was clamoring for all last year while he was on TV,
Hmm.
and it was for good reason. Um, so if a Bill Belichick comes available, like that's going to be the job that he's like, yeah, that's the one I want. If Harbaugh wants to come back to the NFL, that's the job he looked at and said, yeah, that's the one I want. Hell, even Ben Johnson, if he's like, look,
Oh, that'd
if
be
they're gonna take
nice.
an opportunity on a first time head coach, I'll definitely jump into those waters.
Absolutely.
I look
I
at
don't
the
know how
Raiders, the Panthers.
I always forget about him, and he's probably the number one offensive
Oh yeah,
coordinator that people's looking. I always forget about
yeah.
him.
The Raiders, the Falcons, the Panthers, I kind of see them all the same. The only difference between them is Carolina knows who their quarterback is. Like, there's no parting ways with that. He will be their quarterback
Hmm.
going forward. Um, and I don't. We always look at like we've looked at it all this year, and people say they picked the wrong quarterback, and that's not necessarily true. Once again,
No, no,
situations
sure is not.
matter.
Right.
So it depends on who gets into Carolina, and takes over that offense and gets to mold this young quarterback. But once again, we're talking about a team that has plenty of talent on defense with Louvu, Brian Burns being over there, Derek Brown in the middle of that defense. The offensive line definitely needs work and they need receiver help, but that's a team that's not too far away from, being respectable. Atlanta, arguably, they already have all the pieces but quarterback, but that's the biggest piece. So, a coach has to come in and figure that out. And then the Raiders, I feel, are the same as the Falcons. Honestly, I didn't think much of that Raiders roster outside of Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. But since Antonio Pierce has been the coach, that team looks completely different. That looks like a respectable football team who is a quarterback away, honestly, from
Right.
being able to
Hmm.
be competitive in the AFC.
I agree.
So you once again you're looking at a situation where a coach has to come in and figure out that quarterback position, and then if they get that right, then they're right to being competitive next year.
Yep, I agree. But with Carolina, I think it's more than just um, coaching. I think that's a situation when you look at it and you say you can fire Frank Wright all you want, that's fine. But I don't see any quarterback coming in and turning water into wine with that team. It starts with depth. They have to get better. They have to get better players. The offensive line needs to be upgraded
I
in my
disagree.
opinion.
I think the offensive line is the only place that they're a struggle fest. I think they have talent across the rest of their roster.
Okay, if Miles Sanders hurt the whole season, he
Chuba
has to
Hubbard
come.
looks like he's been better than Miles Sanders anyway.
Yeah, but I'm saying you invested in Miles Sanders. They paid
True,
Miles
and
Sanders a pretty
he's
penny.
going to be around. But once again,
Well,
Chuba Hubbard is
if he's going to be around, we need him to be healthy. He can't continue to produce at a pace that he's done this season. That's not.
healthy or not. You can't argue that that's one position where they've proven to have depth. So him being there or him not being there, they look better without him. With Chuba Hubbard running the football,
But that's the same Chuba Hubbard we saw last year. Chuba Hubbard was decent last year, and I
he was
feel like he.
decent, yeah. But once
Yeah,
again, once again, you can't. you can't argue depth in that position on their team. They have the depth. They look
And
good whether Miles Sanders is there, whether he's not. They look better without him when it comes to running the football.
you still need another back. Every
He'll be there. Once again, the dude not going nowhere. Like you said, they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
paid him
he's
the
not going
money.
nowhere. I'm
So
saying, yeah, we need him to be
yeah.
healthy. Is what I'm saying. He
And
has to.
and this
He has
isn't
to.
something that throughout his career he's been banged up. Like this is the
Right,
first time we've
right.
really seen him hurt.
True.
So there's no
That's
reason for
true.
me to believe that he won't be healthy going forward.
Yeah, and I definitely think they need another playmaker at the receiver position. I feel like they got um, receivers, but they don't have a receiver. Like
Yeah,
they don't have
yeah.
a
They shipped him
stud.
off to Chicago. Yeah.
Right. They don't have anyone that's out there that Adam Thielen can win on certain routes. He can get separations in certain situations,
He's not
but
the number one. Yeah.
yeah, nobody's looking and game planning
Of
like, all
course,
right,
yeah.
same thing with other guys that they have, DJ Chalk, guys of that nature. They definitely need a better receiver. They need one
Oh,
of
I
these young
agree.
guys
Yeah.
that can go out there and get it. Um, so yeah, so I mean that's a lot of work to do because receivers not coming to diamond with dozens. Either you draft one or you're gonna pay an arm and a leg to acquire one.
Yeah, and
So
I think they'll be willing to do so. They were already paying DJ Moore, so I don't think they're going to hesitate if a number one guy is willing to come there, whether it's T Higgins or one of these other guys that we look, Michael Pittman, one of those guys like that. If they're willing to come, I think Carolina be willing to pay the price for them.
yeah, we'll have to see.
But I think the bigger thing is the offensive line because I think their
Oh, the
entire
offensive line.
offensive line
Yeah,
needs to be reshaped. So it's not
absolutely.
they just need a right tackle or they just need a
No,
left tackle.
nah.
They need to invest in their
Yeah,
whole offensive line, and that's
I
going to
agree.
take time. Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so let's look forward to these this week's games. We kick it off on Thursday Night Football. We go to LA to take on the Rams, where we are 4-point underdogs. What you got for this one? Hold on, before I let me see because I looked at the injury report before we got on here to make sure I had it. I know Chris Olave said he's a go.
Hmm.
Um, we got 4 people listed as out already. Peyton Turner, ain't seen him in about 13 weeks. Ryan Ramchick, that's huge.
Another one, yeah.
Um, Lonnie Johnson and Isaiah Foskey are the other ones who are
That
listed as
Lonnie
out.
Johnson injury, it looked nasty, man. That Lonnie
It
Johnson
did.
injury.
Carl Grandison, he full practice today. Cam Jordan, we know what that is. Kendra Miller, they said that he will play. He expects him to play
What?
tomorrow.
Check out my
Um,
boy.
and then Chris Olave for the Rams. Tutu Atwell is still in concussion protocol, but he looks like
Hmm.
he's going to play. He looks like he's progressing right. Outside of that, they're good. They're
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah, so I think the Rams is probably the most underrated team in all of football at this point. They are the team. If you can win a most improved award in football as a team, it's the
Yeah,
Rams for me. They are so well balanced offensively. When you think of the Rams, you instantly think of Matthew Stafford. You think of the year that Puka has had, Cooper
yeah,
Cup has come on. But truthfully, Matthew Stafford is playing some of the best football of his life. He keep them in games. They hardly ever get blown out, and they have a run game with Williams.
yeah,
So you're talking about a running back that can get you anywhere from 80 to 100 yards on the ground, and a quarterback that can light you up for 300 on a good Sunday. So and they don't turn the ball over a lot as well. So it's going to be hard game planning for the Rams if you're the Saints. And if you flip roles, you got Derek Carr coming off of his best game as a New Orleans Saint. Um, you spoke about earlier him spreading the wealth with 11 different guys. Defense is playing phenomenal. So I see at best we bend but don't break in this game. But I must admit, I do think the Rams have the advantage because they're just so much well balanced offensively. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do have the Rams winning 23-17.
okay. I think it's going to be a close game as well.
I'm
I
sorry, I
think
said
this
17, 23-20. I apologize.
23-20. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close game as well. I think probably the highest a team gets is about 24 in this game. Um, I like us defensively better than them. I think passing wise, they're going to have a tougher time than they have had. Even with those guys that you just named, Puka Nakua, Cooper Cup. I think it all comes down to how well we play the run. How well are we able to hold up against the run? Because if they're able to run successfully, then we definitely won't be able to stop Matthew Stafford whenever he does decide to step back and throw the football. If we're able to continue to get pressure the way we've been able to the past 2 weeks, I mean, the Rams offensive line is okay. It's not, one of the
Hmm.
best or anything like that. So we should be able to get back there and have some effect on him for sure. Um, this game, honestly, is probably gonna come down to turnovers.
I was just about to say that. Like I'm
Yeah,
listening
who
to you
turns the
talk, I'm
football
like,
over?
yeah,
Is it
yep.
will it be Derek Carr or will
It
it
only
be
takes one.
Matthew Stafford? Yep, that's it. So, once again, our secondary is pretty good even without Marshall Lattimore. We know Alante Taylor. He's always looking for the pick. He's always looking to take the football away. Um, that's really what it's going to come down to. I can see two touchdowns and a couple field goals from each team, and it really just coming
Yep.
down to who ends up, with that one turnover. I'm going to take us. Call it a homer bias. I'm going to take us. I think them being favored by 4 is interesting. I would have thought it would have been less than that, honestly. Um, but yeah, man, I think this is basically a coin flip game. And once again, whoever comes up with the turnover wins the game. And I'm going to hope that that's us. So I'm going to
Yeah,
take us
I got you.
24-21 in this game.
Cool.
Next game we're gonna look at is Cowboys Dolphins. Dolphins are at home. Dolphins are 1.5 point favorites in this game. Dolphins took care of business against the Jets. Once again, you're supposed to be who you're supposed to be, and they definitely did that on Sunday. And the Cowboys are coming off that loss to Buffalo, and going, heading on the road again to go down to Miami and take them on. So what you got for this one?
I think this gonna be entertaining. I wish it could be a bounce back game for the Cowboys because the season Dak has had, man. I'm wishing my boys some success out there, man. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, this Dolphins team is hungry. They still got something to play for. Tua's having a great year. You know what Tyreek Hill is. They can run the ball. They protect their quarterback. Defense is a little shaky, but you got a
Yeah.
playmaker back there in Jalen Ramsey. I think he'll do a phenomenal job on CD Lamb. Um, and I think the Cowboys' struggles continue. This is another game that you probably look at and you say, man, they can't control the run game. They can't run the ball effectively on the ground like they should. And we know Tua is going to put up points if you give him chances. So I'm gonna take the Dolphins in this. I won't go as high scoring as people may think it would be. I'm gonna go. I'll go 24-20 on this one. Dolphins.
Okay. I'm going to Dolphins too, but we see this a little differently. I think Dak has a bounce back game. Not necessarily the Cowboys as a team, but Dak does.
Hmm.
I think him and CeeDee Lamb. I think Ramsey will have his hands full with CeeDee
Hmm.
Lamb. Not saying CeeDee Lamb goes out there and just destroys him or anything like that, but I think he has a respectable game. I think
Hmm.
Brandon Cooks gets back to what we had seen him be in the previous weeks.
Hmm.
And he gets some reliable targets here, especially if there's no Xavier Howard again. Um, and I think they have some success running the football in this game too. Once again, it seemed like the run game had been coming along these past few weeks. Couldn't see it too much last week because of them giving up 14 or however many they gave up early in the game. They had to try to bounce back from. Um, but yeah, I think Michael Parsons and Demarcus Lawrence forced Tua out of the pocket a lot, and Tua once he gets out of the pocket becomes less than what he really is. So, but I think there's a lot of points here. I think we're looking at. I'm going to take Miami 31-24.
Okay.
31-24.
And replaying in this game, right?
Who?
Tariq.
Uh, don't know. Honestly,
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen for sure. He's playing.
Yeah,
But
because
of course that
that's
changes things too.
I was
Yeah.
just about to say I'm expecting him to play, and with the Cowboys, that aggressive man that they play ain't gonna be no bump and run with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's gonna force
Yeah.
them to adjust. So I'm expecting him to play.
Not practicing. It's more of a show to make sure. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna see about him. Jags Bucks. Once again, a game that affects
Mm,
us as New Orleans Saints fans.
yeah,
Buccaneers are at home. Once again, that's right up the road from Jacksonville, so I'd expect a mixed crowd there. Bucks are favored by a point. Jacksonville has struggled a little bit as of late.
yep.
And Baker Mayfield is playing some of his best football as of late. Mike Evans, we know what he is. He's had a phenomenal season. Chris Godwin had an amazing game. Was it this week or last week?
This week,
This
this past
week.
week.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was this week. Um, so I mean, the connection with those receivers is there. This is another game that could end up being a shootout, honestly. But who are you taking in this one?
I'm going Jacksonville in this one. I was leaning toward Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been able to run the ball a little bit better than what they have been in the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
but I think the Jaguars D line makes the difference here. I do think that they get the Baker Mayfield a lot this weekend. They've been warming up. We know what they have over there. Um, I just don't trust Baker Mayfield to hit both receivers. Like that's what it comes down to. It's either one or the other. And I'm leaning to Mike Evans this week. I think he's the guy that gets the numbers, that gets the targets.
Yeah.
Um, and I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat Jacksonville. Although Jacksonville is not playing like streaking hot right now or anything, I
Yeah,
just think
yeah,
that
yeah.
they do enough to get by. And I do think that they score some points in this game, though. I'll go 27-24 Jacksonville.
I'll take that same score. Actually, I think this will be a close game. I think this will be a good amount of points scored as well. I just like the matchup of Evan Ingram against the linebackers
Hmm.
of Tampa Bay. I like
Tampa
that a
does a
lot.
pretty good job covering tight ends, though.
We'll see. We shall see. The Titans they have played this year. I don't know them right off the back of my hand, but are any of them as good as Evan Ingram to this point?
Probably not. Probably not. And see, I was
um,
looking more at the Kelvin Ridley matchup as well. I'm leaning with Trevor Lawrence. I like Ridley going out there against the corners for
Yeah,
Tampa Bay.
and honestly, I love ETN out the backfield.
Yeah.
Which of course they use him a lot there too. So, I just think Tampa Bay is gonna be a little bit too much. I mean, Jacksonville is gonna be a little bit too much for Tampa Bay's defense. Even though I don't think they're gonna overwhelm them, it's just gonna come down to once again which team makes one more stop, and I think that'll be Jacksonville in this situation.
I got you.
Baker also is good to have these amazing games and then give you a letdown. So uh, we'll see. And the last one we're gonna cover Ravens 49ers.
Mm,
49ers are at home. This spread is bigger than I thought it would be. But the 49ers are favored by 5.
that's about what I would expect it, 5 to 6 points. Because San Francisco is at home, right?
Yeah, they're at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Definitely 5 to 6 points. Um, that's respectable.
I know me and you talked about it. I mean, I know I made the comment to you off air. I think just a couple of days ago. To me, San Francisco is the most complete team in the NFL right now, and then Baltimore is right behind them. Lamar Jackson has looked much better this year, and it can be for a lot of reasons. I think he's grown just as a quarterback in general. I think the offensive coordinator change has helped him tremendously, and also he has more talent. Mark Andrews, not having Mark Andrews is huge, but Isaiah Likely, like we saw last year in Mark Andrews' absence, is somebody who's reliable
Hmm.
to Lamar Jackson, and he's definitely serviceable. Um, but man, this San Francisco team is something different when they're healthy. And they're going into this game healthy. Brock Purdy is looking like the MVP favorite right now. Um, Christian McCaffrey, we know what he is. He probably should be the person to win MVP, even though he won't. George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Like it's just too much talent on that offense, and then you look at the defense, and it's just as much talent with Fred Warner and Bosa and Chase Young. Um, I don't think I think Lamar Jackson. If they win this football game, it's because Lamar Jackson threw for 250 to 300 yards and was able to somehow eat up this secondary of San Francisco. I think they limit him when it comes to what he's able to do running the football. I think Fred Warner keeps an eye on him all game long. And I think the corners are able to match up with their receivers pretty well. Um, I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring game. I love Baltimore's defense as well. I don't think they're just going to sit there and let Brock Purdy dink and dunk on them, or Christian McCaffrey run all over them with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen sitting back there. So I think this is a lower scoring game. I'll take San Francisco to win this 21-17.
Okay. And I see it a little bit more different from you. I really think that Lamar Jackson will use his legs a lot. I see San Francisco playing a lot of zone coverage, trying to get home just using their front four like they should, great as
Mm-hmm.
that front four is. However, Lamar Jackson is different. And I mean, I'm sure players don't truly realize that until they play against him. We see it on TV every Sunday and we go, that's different. Like I told you this past weekend. At one point, I was like, bro, I'll trade half of my team to get that dude to play quarterback for me. Like,
Yeah.
he's just that electrifying, bro. But yeah, I think he uses his legs a lot just because of personnel and scheme. They probably going to do a lot of zoning. I don't see San Francisco doing anything like, sending five a lot or trying to confuse him with different blitzes and things of that nature
No.
to open up the opportunity for him to run long distance and truly beat you. But I think just because they zone so much, it will open up lanes to where he can use his legs. You spoke about Fred Warner. I'm gonna go opposite and go Raquan Smith. I think he's going to be busy. He has a great game. He's really going to have to play that field general role in order not only to limit Christian McCaffrey, but also keep an eye on those receivers that come back door, including George Kittle for San
Yeah.
Francisco. I see the Ravens kind of going back like they was the last 2 years when they were game planning for Derrick Henry. It's going to start with stopping the run. And if your quarterback can beat us, then congratulations. I think Brock Purdy is going to have to make not only some throws, but some important throws. We're going to have to see some tight windows and things of that nature, from Brock Purdy this Sunday. So I do take San Francisco to win the game simply because I do think they are the better complete team. I will go. I would probably go 24. They're not going to keep kicking field goals. I'm going to go 24-17.
24-17.
24
Yeah, I
17.
think
I think the
Fred
Ravens.
Warner. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I can see both teams mixing it up and going for it on fourth down. The Ravens gambling more than San Francisco.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the Ravens probably shoot themselves a couple times by doing it.
Yeah, I think Fred Warner's main sole matchup in this whole game is gonna be don't let Lamar Jackson get past the line of scrimmage. And of course that's not
Not
realistic,
get
but
past the lines
yeah, I
in the
mean
line of
that's the
scrimmage.
job. You're the best middle linebacker in football. That's your job. And I think he's gonna do a pretty good job at it. Of course, Lamar Jackson is gonna get his, but I don't think he goes over 40 yards rushing this game if he gets that. And then it comes down to like you brought up Patrick Queen or Roquan Smith. I think they between Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, I like both of those guys receiving against those linebackers. So I think they win that battle as well. And I think
Okay.
that's what the difference comes down to in this game for sure.
I definitely hope underdog or somebody out there put an under over on Lamar Jackson rushing yards. We're gonna have to check that out
Oh, of
because
course. I'm quite sure it's already up. I said I would definitely take him under 40 yards this game. And I'm quite sure they're gonna have it over that. I'm quite just because he averages over that, I'm sure. I'm
yeah, I
gonna
would.
look right now though. We're gonna see what it is. San Francisco. They don't play till Monday night. They got him at 59 and a half right now.
Oh, they got it high. Yeah, and but I'm gonna tell you what I mean by high. I expected I expect him to get 55, 60 yards rushing. I
Yeah,
didn't expect them to
the
have
number
it
to
that
be.
high though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you tell me that's what he's gonna get, because I told you I think he will use his legs a lot. I think he will pick up a lot of rushing yards. But I wouldn't think underdog will put it that high against San Francisco, even if that's his average.
And I'm more likely to take him with the over of 219 passing yards than I am to get like I'm taking the lower on the 59.5 rushing yard. I can tell you that
I
for sure.
got you.
But I would take the over on the 219 passing yards this week.
Gotcha.
But all right, man, we got another good week of football. We got some games that should be good that we didn't really touch on: Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Minnesota. We didn't talk about that game at all. So there are other games, Cleveland, Houston. There are other games, this weekend as well, and Saturday night football. Saturday football. We got that again this week. And then of course Monday Night Football after everybody has torn up their presents and gotten full and sitting back and needed and consumed a bunch of NBA. We got Monday Night Football as well. But hopefully we have another good week. We get back here, next Wednesday, Thursday, sit down and have this conversation again. Hopefully after another Saints win and we one step closer to being division winners and making the playoffs.
Absolutely. After hearing that message from Demario Davis after this past win this Sunday, I'm sure that defense is going to come ready to play. Hopefully, we can cash in offensively, get that W, keep our playoff hopes alive. But like always, good show, Sid. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next week, who that?
I'm in the league, you boys not in my league. If you listen close, I'm coaching. Take keys to the boy, hella dope without pushing a Blanco. Still stabbing bitches like 94 in the Bronco. If it's about the money, I'm leaving them hoes pronto. If I don't do nothing, I'm about line so.
Every time I do it the coldest.